Yeah, it's live. So I think we are going. I think we might be ready now.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. And if you're joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from. But first of all, I want to say Happy International Women's Day. Right, Shelmina?
Yes, and it is a happy International Women's Day.
Mhm.
Everyone is focused on inspiring inclusion, and
Yeah.
together we will be a force to reckon with.
Yes. So please tell us where you're joining from, and please also follow Shelmina, connect with her, and let's stay connected. Now, my name is Madona Wambua, and I am the CTO of Xlist. And at Xlist, we are building a unique platform and mobile app designed to revolutionize the renting experience by making it hassle-free for both landlords and renters. I am also an author and speaker, and also a mom and wife. I like to mention those because that's part of me too.
Yes.
Now, thank you for joining this very special LinkedIn Live. We will discuss inspiring inclusion in leadership roles so together we can impact the future. And I'm so honored today to be chatting with Shelmina Abji. Shelmina's mission is to advance gender equality in leadership role by helping career women maximize their leadership potential. Now, Shelmina is a speaker and best-selling author of Show Your Worth: 8 Intentional Strategies for Women to Emerge as Leaders at Work. She started with a humble beginning in Tanzania, our neighbor, and went from
Yes.
being fast
And
in
you're
her
from Kenya. I love it.
yes, and went from being fast in her family to graduate college to becoming one of the highest ranking women of color at IBM while raising her 2 children as a single mother since they were 2 and 4. She started her career as a software engineer whoop, whoop, and moved to sales and sales leadership. She has led global teams and delivered over 1 billion in revenue annually while consistently maintaining high client satisfaction as well as team morale. Wow. She was a decision maker in hiring, promoting, and giving pay rises to thousands of professionals. She has mentored hundreds of women and addressed audiences at the Grasshopper celebration. Google, NASA, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, IBM, T-Mobile, the list goes on and on. Shelmina is also a TEDx speaker, board member, angel investor, philanthropist, and distinguished alumni. So let's get started. Shelmina, that is such an amazing bio. What inspired you to write your book, Show Your Worth?
uh, Before I answer that question, Madonna,
Yeah,
so we are on this StreamYard platform.
yes.
Are we live on LinkedIn right now? Can we see anyone? Is somebody listening to us? Can someone put something in the chat? Because I
Yes.
want to make sure that we are live on LinkedIn.
Yes, I believe we should be live on LinkedIn. Normally, the way it works, you will see comments if they come through on my end,
Okay.
but we should be live on it. But let me confirm that because we're the tech people and also we're the event hosts. Yeah, it
Yeah.
shows live when I looked on my end.
Okay. All right. Do I need to look on my end? But I'm assuming.
You can if you want to share.
Okay. You know what? Let's just people know about this event more from you than they do from me. I did put that link to register. And so if they registered, they should be on this link right now, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it
Okay.
comes directly. Yes, so
Okay.
don't worry, we're live, and you'll see we were live. And I
Okay.
like this discussion with you. It's good curiosity because you'll watch it and see this part as you ask the question.
Uh, So
Yeah.
to answer your question, what inspired me to write this book? As you mentioned, I come from humble beginnings in Tanzania.
Mhm.
I Growing up, my mom used to really struggle to make our ends meet. She had fourth grade education. She got married when she was 14. My eldest sister was born when my mom was 15. She used to cook for people, and we used to sell food on the street. And as a young child, that was very painful. And I wanted to do something to lift my family out of poverty.
Mhm.
And so I figured if I obtained a college degree, then we wouldn't have to be poor anymore.
Mm.
But that was a very lofty goal because Madonna in Mwanza, where I grew up, there was no education past 10th grade. No
Yes.
one in my family had been to college.
Mm-hmm.
And families like us did not qualify for a loan.
Yeah.
And so, because this is International Women's Day, I want to start out by honoring two women. One is my mom,
Oh.
because can you imagine
Mm-hmm.
her letting her 15-year-old daughter leave home
Yeah.
and we didn't even own a phone?
Yeah.
And the other woman was a woman that we fondly referred to as Kursamasi.
Mm-hmm.
My mother borrowed an equivalent of $500
Mm-hmm.
from Kursamasi
Mm-hmm.
so I could pursue my dream of obtaining a college degree. Now, that dream,
Mm-hmm.
with many barriers, internal and external,
Mm-hmm.
brought me to the United States. I got a degree in computer science from University of Wisconsin in La Crosse.
Mm-hmm.
Very cold, didn't know what winter was,
Yeah.
but this was before the internet days. And so, it's not like I knew Ivy League colleges or I knew how to apply. My brother's friend was visiting from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and said, if you'd like to study computer science, which is what I wanted to do because that's where the money was,
Yeah.
then I will help you get admission. So I did. And, I was very fortunate,
Mm-hmm.
Madonna, because on a student visa,
Mm-hmm.
initially with difficulty, because no one wanted to interview me, even though I was on the dean's list while I worked 35 to 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't want to interview me because I didn't have the right visa status. I was on a
Oh.
student visa.
Yeah.
But on the last day of a conference,
Mm-hmm.
one company
Mm-hmm.
interviewed me,
Yeah.
and the $27,000 a year
Yeah.
that they paid me was more money than my parents could make in 10 years. And I thought, that's it. We're never going to be poor again.
Yeah.
But, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
simple, as I
Yeah.
know we're going to get into some more details.
Mm-hmm.
However, from there,
Mm-hmm.
I rose up, as you said, to
Yeah.
become one of the highest ranking women of color at IBM. And in
Mm-hmm.
this journey,
Yeah.
my personal and professional journey,
Mm-hmm.
Madonna, there were so many people that were instrumental
Mm-hmm.
in helping me achieve the success I did. And every time I mentored someone while I was working at IBM, every time I enabled someone else's success, that
Mm-hmm.
felt so satisfying
Yeah.
because I felt that I was honoring the people that had helped me become successful. And so in 2014, at the peak of my career, I left my full time role to focus all my energy in
Mm-hmm.
helping others be successful.
Wow.
And when I did that, I learned that so many women, and I worked with refugees, first generation college grads,
Yeah.
immigrant women,
Mm-hmm.
so many women were facing the same barrier, internal and external, that I had faced.
Yeah.
They were confused about what success looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They had read, show your power, own your power,
Yeah.
face your fear, but they kept asking me, Shelmina, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And I was able to share my insights because I had to learn it all.
Yes.
I didn't know how to do that until I learned how to do that. And
Wow.
so when I saw that their career trajectories started getting transformed, when
Mm-hmm.
they started achieving success because of my insights,
Wow.
that got me to dream bigger. And I thought, if I can change the
Yeah.
career success of 100 women, I
Mm-hmm.
can do it for 1 million women. I
That's
can
true.
become a gender equality in
Mm-hmm.
leadership roles advocate and teach women
Mm-hmm.
how to emerge as leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what inspired me to write my book.
Wow. I mean, to me, there's a few things that I've heard from you, Shelmina, that really sparked a little bit of curiosity and also interest, where you mentioned that you did not come up by yourself. People held your hand and you were doing that back now. I think that's very powerful because it shows how caring you are, that you're paying back to the people that really helped you get where you are today. And I feel like that is something that we don't get to see with so many people because it's not easy. Some people, you become successful and you forget your roots. You become successful, you forget the people that actually pushed you to become, to be where you are. So I
Mm.
really applaud you for what you've done over the years and what you're doing now and the work that you'll keep doing. I mean, I don't know what to say. Now, we have an amazing theme this year, which is inspiring inclusion in leadership, which ties very well to your book. And also, this particular theme ties well to the impact the future because you're inspiring inclusion to impact the future. So let's
Yes,
discuss.
I love it. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Now, you write about the importance of becoming essential to your organization by value you create, right?
Yeah.
However, you mentioned there are many intentional and external barriers for women. Can you share some of the barriers you faced yourself in your
Yeah.
career? Mhm.
Yeah. So, Madonna,
Yeah.
I was so ecstatic that I got a job, $27,000, spring in my step. I show up to work,
Hmm.
and in a company of 2,000 engineers,
Hmm.
I was the only woman of color.
Yeah.
And by now, I had lived in the US for a couple of years. So I
Okay.
knew that there were Ivy League colleges. And
Yeah.
I looked around. There were people in my organization that had master's degrees, PhDs, Carnegie Mellon, Harvard, Princeton, Yale,
Yeah.
all these amazing universities. And I thought to myself,
Hmm.
what would I know that
Yeah.
they don't already know?
Yeah.
And so I, in my own head,
Hmm.
convinced myself that my ideas wouldn't matter
Yeah.
because they already knew everything. I
Hmm.
I started undermining my capabilities,
Hmm.
underestimating my worth,
Yeah.
and instilled fear of speaking up. It was
Okay.
an internal barrier
Yes.
because I just figured if I said something, I would sound ridiculous because they would already know what I
Oh
had
no. Hmm.
said. But here's the thing, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
I also knew that within 1 year,
Hmm.
because my visa was just 1 year. Within 1 year, if I didn't figure out a way to become difficult to replace,
Yes.
no one is irreplaceable,
No one else.
but difficult to replace, then by
Mhm.
law,
Yeah.
they were required to hire someone with the right visa status
Mhm.
and they would not extend my visa. This was a startup company, and
Mhm.
to extend visas and get green cards in those days was very, very expensive. And so I knew that
Mhm.
if I didn't become difficult to get replaced,
Mhm.
that I wouldn't get my visa extended.
Yeah.
And so, in order for me to do that, I also realized that I can't just do my particular role because anyone else can do it. I had to become essential to the success of the organization,
Yes.
to other people's success.
Mhm.
And in order for me to do that, I had to face my fear
Yeah.
and learn how to speak up.
Wow.
In Madonna,
Mhm.
it took a man. So it was a Tuesday afternoon.
Yes.
I had this idea in my head
Mhm.
and I wanted to speak up, but I didn't because I was afraid to speak up. And it
Yes.
and it was as if my idea jumped from my head into
Mhm.
the head of the guy sitting directly across from me,
Uh-huh.
and he stated what I was thinking.
Oh no.
The room lit up with enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Our bosses were congratulating him and saying, "What a unique way of solving this challenge." And I thought to myself, I had that idea.
Yeah.
My ideas do matter. I went into the ladies' room. What do women do? I go into the ladies' room, looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, Shelmina, you should have spoken up.
Yeah.
Your ideas matter. And so that inner victory
Mhm.
that went from what would I know that they don't already know?
Yeah.
My ideas don't matter, to recognizing that I do know something that they don't already know, that I do have ideas that matter. And that's where the journey began of me facing my fear because I knew I had value that I could contribute towards the success of my organization outside of my own role
Mhm.
to ensure that they would extend my visa. So early on in my career, I knew why a company hires me
Mhm.
and I knew why a company keeps me. And they keep you because you become essential to the success of their organization.
Wow. Okay. Shalmina. I mean, I'm just listening to you and I'm thinking some of the things that you mentioned are very key too because those are the things that I've used myself. For instance, I am not a native English speaker, right? I
Yes.
come from Kenya, as you know, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
And
I'm
my
not
class,
kidding.
my yeah, My first language is not English. It's actually Swahili and Swahili in English, and then mother tongue. Of course, mother tongue comes first. And I had the fear of writing a technical book because I thought that is not something I could ever do. So you were right. I had to face my fears and tell myself, you know what? I can actually do this. And then I went and got that courage and wrote the book. And now it's out there. And I look back and think, why was I afraid? So I love the fact that you said face your fears. So if you're out there and listening today, if you're facing fears, please face them. You
And,
will definitely emerge as a winner. Sorry, go on.
and I have a TEDx talk I have done on how to face your fear,
Oh my
because
goodness.
fear is real.
Yeah.
You were afraid that,
Mhm.
English is not your native language, and you
Yeah.
were sure, you were afraid whether you could write a book or not. I was afraid to speak up. Now, for me, I recognize that fear is just a voice in my head, and
Yes.
so is courage.
Mhm.
And so fear is doing its job. It's trying to protect you.
Mhm.
But if I remained protected and if I didn't speak up, then I would go back to being poor again.
Mhm.
So I want everyone listening to
Mhm.
recognize that fear is just a voice in your head. This
Nice.
is your voice,
Mhm.
your head. You get to decide which voice to
Mhm.
amplify, to give credence to,
Mhm.
and which voice to not.
Yeah.
And courage is not the absence of fear.
Oh, I love that.
Courage is doing what you must do even though you are afraid.
Mhm.
Right? That voice doesn't just like go away. It's still there.
Mhm.
But you make your voice of courage louder
Yeah.
by feeding it the
Mhm.
reasons why you must write a book, the
Mhm.
reasons why you must speak up. And that voice of courage gets louder and louder and louder. And
Wow.
the more you do this, the more courageous you become.
That's so true. Wow, that is so true. And I'm just thinking right now, many of your insights have actually resonated with me. And when you intentionally focus your attention on your highest priority, you move from being busy to productive. So I want to ask you, what's your advice on how to make the most of our time when our to-do lists are a mile long? I struggle with this a lot.
You know, I did too. And,
Mm.
and the nice thing about my career journey, Madonna, is nothing came naturally.
Yeah.
Everything was a lesson learned as a result of a struggle. And so I moved from being a software engineer to a systems engineer to a salesperson.
Mhm.
And when I moved into sales, I started working on every opportunity that was in my pipeline. We had
Mhm.
50 opportunities, and
Mhm.
I was diluting my attention on all these opportunities
Mhm.
and working 60 hours a week and not making meaningful progress because I was checking off my task list.
Yeah.
I was not making meaningful progress. And so, my first review with my boss,
Mhm.
I thought he's going to say, I don't deserve to be in sales.
Yeah.
And I go in and I say, Keith, I'm working really hard. I'm working 60 hours a week and I will work even longer. I guarantee you I will close some of these deals. I really want to be in sales because sales in those days made more money than being a software engineer or a systems engineer. And I, by then, was pregnant with my first daughter and was motivated to buy a house with a swing in the yard for some reason.
I love that.
So my boss
Mhm.
says, Shelmina, working longer hours is not always the answer. You need to figure out which opportunities deserve your attention. I looked at him like, well, what do you mean I deserve my attention? He says, you need to figure out which opportunities are going to maximize your business outcomes. And you only focus on those opportunities. They become your strategic priorities. Right now, you have 50 priorities and you're not going to make any progress because
Yeah.
that's way too many. And so I became very intentional and strategic about where I focused my attention. An
Mhm.
entire chapter in the book that talks about intentional attention. Because you see, we have limited hours in the day. There's nothing you can do to make your 24-hour day 25 hours. But we have a choice. in where we allocate our most precious, most valued, imperishable asset, which is called your attention. So, what I teach women to do is structure your days around your highest priorities and say no to lesser priorities. Now, this is difficult for most women because we don't like to say no, because we want to be liked by people, we want to be viewed as team players. But when you say no, I want you to think that you're saying no so you can say yes to a strategic priority. And when you say yes to a strategic priority, this is not just about your own success, but it's about the success of all your stakeholders, your
Yeah.
boss, your corporation, because you are now only working on what will move your boss towards their success, your corporation towards their success. And I'm going to leave this with one last quote. Warren Buffett has a quote. He's famous for saying this quote. He says, the difference between successful people and highly successful people is that highly successful people will say no to almost everything
Everything. Yeah.
because they guard their attention and their energy for only what matters the most.
I love that. I just want to mention something that I saw from the comment which really resonated with this particular topic and you, and I just want to share it with you. I think it's a very good quote. I read the book and gifted it to my wife. Very inspiring, not just for women, but also for men who care about women.
Ah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I know, it's so
Thank you.
cute.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Somebody else also said they love the fact that you said courage is not the absence of fear, and
Correct.
that makes so much sense. Now, let's go on because this is an amazing conversation. We still have time before we give the live audience some time for Q&A.
Mhm.
But the next question that I wanted to ask you is, what is the best career advice you have ever received?
Yeah, yeah. You know, Madonna, as I
Yeah.
shared, that when
Mhm.
I was working for ETA Systems, the
Yeah.
technology startup company, I
Mhm.
very much realized that the only reason I kept a job is because of the value I created.
Yeah.
And so ETA shut down 3.5 years after I started there.
Mhm.
And by then, they had already processed my green card because I became essential to their success.
Mhm.
And so then even though I came from a small university, I had developed some very marketable skills. And so I got many job offers and I selected to go work for IBM. And I moved from being a software engineer to a systems engineer, and I won an award called the Rookie Systems Engineer of the Year. And with that award, came a trip to San Francisco and a five-star hotels and fine wine and sushi and all the things I'd never done before. But most importantly, it came with an invitation to a women's roundtable. These were all high achieving women. And the roundtable, the head of the roundtable was our general manager from Chicago, and her name is Susan Whitney. My boss's boss had asked me to walk Susan back to his office. And so I waited for her to finish her conversations with the women, and then we started walking. And she says, "Congratulations, Shelmina, for winning such a prestigious award." And I thought, oh, wow, she knows my name. And, and then,
Yeah.
as casually as someone asks you your restaurant preference, she says, "Shelmina, where do you want to be in 5 years?" And I looked at her, a glazed look in my eye, and I said, "I don't know. Susan, I get so busy doing the best possible job in my current role that I don't really think about where I want to be in 5 years." And what she said changed my career trajectory. She said, "Shelmina, it is critical that you do the best possible job in your current role. And it is equally critical for you to know what you want to do next and next. That way, you're always working towards something bigger.
Oh,
You have so much potential."
I love that.
And I'm thinking, me? I have so much potential. I mean, if Susan thinks I have potential, I must have potential. But what did potential mean at that time? What did I want to do next and next? There was no one in any leadership roles that looked like me. And so it wasn't obvious to me what I wanted to do next and next. But she planted a seed in my head that I had potential. I could be more, I could do more. And this is why for this International Women's Day to inspire inclusion, I am asking people to gift my book to their mentees. Show them that you see leadership potential in them, because there are so many young women that don't see potential in themselves. So you be the person that reminds them that they have leadership potential, because you know what, Madonna, leadership is a skill that can be learned. I had to learn it all.
Yeah.
Each one of us has the capacity to lead.
Yeah.
So that was the best career advice I got, because it got me thinking not just about doing the best possible job in my role today, but to always be intentional and strategic about where you want to be in 5 years. Where do you want to go next? And where do you want to go after that? And that's why my book starts with a chapter called Intentional Attention. I ask the readers to intentionally define what a 5 year success means to you. Not anyone else, not the society. You don't want to be driven by anyone. This has to be aligned with you, your life circumstances, your values. But you must define where you want to be in 5 years, and then define where you want to be in 12 months or 18 months, which is a stepping stone towards your long term definition of success. So that becomes your compass. That becomes something that sets your strategic priorities, so you know what to say yes to, what to say no to, so you know where to focus your attention and move meaningfully closer to your definition of success every single day. Because, Madonna, success doesn't happen 5 years down the road
Yeah.
or 12 months down the road. Success happens in your everyday actions, in your everyday decisions, how you show up to work every single day to show your worth. And that's how you move towards success.
Wow. I think I'm just gonna keep saying wow, wow, wow. So I think something that you said that was very important is the fact that we need to create those goals that are long term. And I feel like this is something I've also employed in my career. Like I always have my goals like 5 years or even 10 years. One thing that I've also learned is if my goals in 5 years don't work as I expected, I'm never too hard on myself. I am always kind to myself and say, you know what? It's okay, it didn't happen. It will happen next time. You have something to say?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I tell women, right? This
Mhm.
is your definition of success. At
Yes.
any point in time, if
Mhm.
it doesn't work for you, whether your
Yes.
life situations changed or you went down the road and that did not work out the way you expected it to,
Yeah.
change your definition of success.
Yeah.
And please be like Madonna. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace. Look at what you learned in the pursuit of that success, because that allows you to make better future decisions. See, the problem with us is we are our worst critics. We are so harsh on ourselves. We love to beat ourselves up. And you know what? You can never belittle yourself to greatness. Always be kind to yourself. Recognize that you did the best you could
Yeah.
and it didn't work out. It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay.
Change your definition of success.
I love it. Oh my goodness. I love this conversation. So many great points. If you have any questions, please start dropping them on the chat, and I will ask Shelmina in the next like 15 minutes. But we still have time, so let's go on with the topic because I'm so inspired right now. I feel like I'm gonna leave this talk just thinking about how you've inspired me more to dream bigger and just to continue inspiring others. Now, you write about the fact that as you rose up into your career, you learned about the importance of two things: how you are known and who knows you. Please tell us more.
Yeah, yeah. You know, Madonna, it
Yeah.
took me 10 years to ask for my first promotion. That's how long it took for me to see myself as a leader. Should have taken less. This is why I've written the book, so everyone else can see themselves as a leader before I did. As soon as I got promoted, Now I'm sitting in rooms where decisions are being made about people's promotions, their salary increases, their financial rewards, rewards like going to a 100% club, and what people said about the people around the room said about the people being discussed. It influences that person's career trajectory. When your promotion is being discussed, you're not in the room. When your salary is being discussed, you're not in the room. Your stock options are being discussed, you're not in the room. But you know what is in the room? What people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
And what people say about you when you're not in the room is your personal brand.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm teaching people is no matter where you are in your career today, become intentional and strategic about creating a personal leadership brand.
Yeah.
So you've decided what you want to be in 5 years.
Mhm.
Look around at leaders that you admire, at leaders that you respect, at leaders that are already in those roles. Because your personal brand is both your business expertise and your personal characteristics. And these things take a while. Leadership is a journey, your career is a long game. You have to intentionally and strategically start learning those business expertise, those competencies, as well as becoming the person you want to be talked about. This is not about pretending to be someone. This is about becoming that person, because every impression that you are leaving behind is forming your personal brand. So if you are showing up to work on autopilot, days are turning into weeks and weeks are turning into months and you're collecting a paycheck, you don't even know what impressions you're leaving behind, or you have no idea what people are going to say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
But when you define how you want to be known, you will not get defined by them.
That's right.
When you start leaving behind impressions that are aligned
Yeah.
with your aspiring leadership brand, then what they say about you will be aligned with what you decided your personal leadership brand. So that's the importance of how you're known. Who knows you is also important at every stage in your career. I have an entire chapter on intentional relationships. But what I want to talk about today is about sponsors,
Yeah.
because your first, second promotion will be given to you because of your business expertise, because of your personal leadership branding. But as you move up, and when you want to become an executive, and we, by the way, this we call this the messy middle. A lot of women are stuck in these middle leadership positions and are not able to move into executive and senior executive positions. I don't know of any executive, man or woman, that became an executive without a sponsor.
Yeah.
And here's why, right? When you become an executive, you are now responsible for a large pie of your business. Your quarterly revenues are dependent upon you. The company's earnings per share are dependent upon you. So those roles are picked very, very carefully. And whoever is being considered for those roles already have a past successful track record. They are already creating outsized value. They have already shown their growth potential. They already have a personal leadership brand. Now, the difference maker is who around that room is going to put their credibility on the line and say, I trust Madonna to get that job done. And they're not going to put their credibility on the line because they like you. Because if you don't perform, it goes against their credibility.
Yeah.
They're going to put their credibility on the line because they have watched you.
Yeah.
They have watched you in good times and they have watched you in bad times. They have watched the energy you bring to a situation, how you motivate your team, especially when the times are tough. These are all leadership skills.
Yeah.
How you have shown your ability to get outside your comfort zone and learn new competencies, because no one has done the role before. And every role is going to require that you learn new competencies. And so you have to have demonstrated that. And so when they have watched you, and this is what I'm teaching you in the book, when they have watched you show your worth
Yeah.
in all your interactions,
Mhm.
when they have watched you deal with difficult people, difficult situations, because the people are not always going to be the way you want them to be.
Yeah.
Situations are not always going to be the way you want them to be.
Yeah.
But you have the power,
Mhm.
and I have coined a term called the power quotient.
Okay.
You have the power to
Mhm.
intentionally pick an empowering response
Mhm.
to a disempowering situation.
Nice.
So when the stimulus is negative, whether it's internal, which is your fear, or
Mhm.
external, like someone interrupting you when you're speaking,
Mhm.
or someone undermining your capabilities,
Yeah.
you can scan your mental chatter because your initial reaction will be you're going to get upset at them or you're afraid. But then you can scan your mental chatter and you can pick an empowering response.
Yeah.
You can educate the people who are undermining your capabilities.
Yeah.
You can come to a situation to show your worth instead of giving into the challenging situation. When you do this day in and day out,
Mhm.
and people watch you,
Mhm.
they will gladly be your sponsors. Because today's business environment,
Mhm.
they know they need diverse leaders. They need diversity at every rung of the ladder because it's not about just being nice or doing the right thing or
Yeah.
corporate social responsibility. No,
Mhm.
it is about business outcomes. When you have diversity of thought, you are more innovative, you are more competitive, you attract better talent, you contribute towards your bottom line, towards your revenue, you are impacting your business outcomes. So they want to see women like Madonna in senior leadership roles, but
Yeah.
we have to earn it. We have to earn it by showing our worth.
I love that. Wow, Shelmina, I think I'm mind blown just listening to you. And I feel like this is such a great topic in so many ways and levels because I'm thinking as a person who always wanted to upskill, because I don't think there's anybody that goes to work thinking that they don't want to ever go to the next level because then you're not working because then you don't like what you're doing. Most of us we want to work and definitely one day scale up and go up. So knowing what we need in that step is very crucial because some of us we don't know these things unless we hear from you. Like I didn't know. I mean, for instance, I'm foreigner. I don't know what a sponsor is, but I'm hearing from you what a sponsor is. So now I'm like more curious. Like, oh, I need a sponsor. So thank you so much for sharing this kind of information with everyone because I think it's very valuable and very needed. And I want to just go to the next question before we look for any questions from the attendees, which is as a woman, we are never just about careers, right?
Yeah.
We are mothers, daughters, wives, sisters, caregivers, and more. So each of us has a role given meaning to our lives and vie for our limited time and energy, which is very true. Now, in your book, you have a chapter dedicated to intentional work life balance
Yeah.
so women can thrive in their work and life. And I've actually read this chapter and I love it so much because I have the book too. Can you please tell us more?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Madonna, I mentioned earlier that it took me 10 years to get my first promotion.
Yeah.
A few months into that role, I had 10 people in the Pacific Northwest territory, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Nevada, Alaska, and a quota of $120 million. And suddenly and unexpectedly, I became a single mom. My kids were 2 and 4 at the time, and I was devastated. I was afraid. I was concerned about their future. I was worried how I was going to raise them. And I was so preoccupied and so overwhelmed. I couldn't sleep well. I showed up to work, but I couldn't be present because I was constantly thinking about what had just happened and really concerned about the future of my kids. And then I would go home and I knew that I did a terrible job at work. And so I wasn't present with my kids either. So I was neither here nor there. And I take you through the entire story of how one day I realized I was failing as a mother and as a leader. And I decided I was going to give up my leadership role because no mother is going to give up their children.
Yeah. No
But
way.
that thought of giving up this leadership role that I had worked so hard to get made every ounce of my body ache. I was physically acting. My body was rebelling against that decision. And I saw a glimpse of my 15-year-old leaving home when my parents didn't even own a phone. I saw the forward moving, the eternally optimistic Shelmina. And I realized I can figure this out. You see, and so in order for us to achieve that work life balance, and work life balance means different things to different people, just as success means different things to different people. It should mean different things to different people. It's your life, it's your work. You decide what makes sense for you. But first and foremost, you have to know, you have to believe you can do this. Secondly, secondly, you have to make yourself a priority. When you take care of your well-being, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your well-being, you fill yourself up with that positivity and with that energy so you can pour it onto your children, onto your parents, onto your husband, onto your employees, onto your boss. Because when you are depleted, then you are pouring depleted energy onto them and you are sub-optimizing your interactions and your outcome. But when you fill yourself up, you show up in every interaction to show your worth
That's true.
and you energize them, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing is there will be many challenges along the way in your professional life, in your personal life. The challenge is a challenge, and the situation is what it is. You give it meaning by the narrative you decide to give it.
Yeah.
And so, what I ask you is look at every challenge as an opportunity to learn and to grow.
I love
Then
that.
it's no longer a challenge, it's an adventure. You're just trying to figure out, you're curious. What do I have to learn from this? How do I grow from this? Right? And so, no challenge stands a chance against you because you will never be overwhelmed by challenges. In fact, you will lean into them and say, what can I learn from you? What are you here to teach me? Let's go. Right?
Wow.
That's how you thrive, both in your personal and your professional. In fact, Madonna, those were the darkest days of my life.
Yeah.
But they transformed me. They made me who I was meant to be. And so within 2 years, in spite of becoming a single mom, I went from running a business of 120 million to 950 million, having 7 sales leaders and 150 people reporting to me because I became so good at structuring my work and my life around my highest priorities and saying no to everything else, that nothing meaningful, nothing important
Yeah.
ever fell through the cracks, and nothing unimportant ever occupied my precious and my most valued asset, which is my attention.
Oh my goodness, I said again in the beginning, I'll keep saying wow, 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 because I think what you've said is very important. Because first of all, I'm trying to digest all this, and I think the most important thing you said is that viewing every challenge as a lesson, like something to learn from. And I think to me that makes total sense. I cannot put myself in your own shoes, but I can imagine how tough that was. You have a thriving career, and then that happens. So I think it was pretty sad. But I see how you are right now, the success you still hold up to now. I mean, you're amazing. We have great questions, so I'm gonna start there because I know we have two more questions from our list, but I'm gonna just go ahead and throw these questions here to our
But
listeners.
I want to say one more thing
Sure.
to what you just said.
Okay.
When when you, and I want our listeners to listen to this,
Yes.
when you look at these tough challenges as an
Yeah.
opportunity to learn and grow, you develop self trust.
Yeah.
You develop self respect. You see, the world takes you at your own estimate. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't trust yourself, you can't expect anyone else to. And so this personal challenge got me to know myself better than I had ever known myself. It got me to earn my own self respect and my own self trust. It builds this deep seated confidence that no one can take away from you.
Yeah.
You go wherever you go, you bring that with you. I trust myself. I respect myself. I have confidence in myself to take on any challenge because I've done it and I can do it again.
Wow. Okay. Now, we have a question from Nilful Ramji, and she says, I found that I have had a good sense of what I want to do, stroke where I want to get next. But I find that as soon as I achieve something, I'm on the next level. How do you know when to take a break or just enjoy the current experience before moving on, stroke up?
Well, first of all, Nilufar Ramji, thank you so much for being on this LinkedIn Live. She is the reason why I went to speak at NASA. But on that day, she couldn't be there because she had obviously another strategic priority because, she's a bigwig at NASA. And yeah, she's an incredible role model and an inspiration. Um, and so thank you for asking me this question. It's not just about moving to the next goal, it is about defining what your vision of success is. And success is not just about business goals, success is also taking time for yourself. Success is also being there for your family. Success is doing the things that fill you up with energy, with positivity. And so it's not just about the next goal. If it was just that, success would be very hollow. Often tell people that even if you achieved every business goal you set up for yourself, but if you're not welcome at home, what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the
I
point?
love that.
Right? Right? So enjoy this journey. Take time for yourself, for your family, because that is what creates this wind beneath your wings to then go on to even bigger. And you, Nilofer, of all the people, I tell you, I am such a huge fan of yours, and you are such an inspiration, and you are going to go places. You do not have to be in a rush.
I almost felt a tear come to my eyes because you said something so important, like even if you achieve all this success
Yeah.
and nobody welcomes you back home, what is
What?
success for, right?
What's the point?
What's the point?
Donna, my kids today are 32 and 30. Remember, they were 2 and 4 when this happened? They're 32 and 30. And I, again, self respect, self trust that I made them my priority. And in my book, I share examples of when my son was sick. And I had just flown the corporate jet from New York to Austin. And I got an email from the nurses. At that time there was no internet in the plane, so the email came after I landed that my son is sick. And I thought, oh my god, now he's going to think I'm a single mom, I can't be an IBM executive. These voices in your head, no matter how hard you try to tame them, they still come. But I knew my priorities was my kids, and so I went to him and I said, you know what, I have to go back. And I actually earned his respect because I did that.
Um,
So yeah, we have to do the right thing by our children. It's a balance, right?
yeah.
If you tilt it too much towards your personal, then the professional suffers. If you tilt it too much towards your professional, then the personal suffers. And only you can decide what balance looks like for you.
Okay, this is a therapy session. Oh my god, I feel like we have so many questions and so little time. Okay. As a woman in a technical space, did you ever fall victim to the beauty paradox, or were assumption made about your intelligence and stroke or skills? If so, how did you respond?
All right, Zainab. if you ever fall victim to anything, this is a great question,
Yeah,
but to any circumstance, to anybody, you have gift wrap your power and handed it to them. What they think doesn't matter. How you respond defines you. So never, ever, ever become a victim of anyone or anybody because it's a choice you make.
yeah. Well, love that. We have another question. I think we have time. I love the fact that we have so many questions.
I love it too. Here I was concerned about, are we live on in LinkedIn? Is
I
anyone hearing
know.
us?
Because I am a technical person, so I
Yes.
got you.
I trust you, but you know me, I have to verify because I want to know there's people. Go ahead, go ahead. Let's ask the
Yeah.
question. Yeah,
This is a long question,
yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
going to read it through. So I think I can see it, all of it. Maybe I might have to look for it, but it says, um, let me just go to the next one before I find out that full question. It's pretty long.
I can read it. How can I cultivate and enhance my personal brand as a college student, balancing humor and seriousness? I believe that a lighthearted approach is essential for creating a relatable and enjoyable presence, but I also want to be taken seriously. How can I strike a balance that resonates with most people, fostering connection and gently promoting a more relaxed perspective? This is particularly challenging when dealing with individuals who respond with anger rather than simple disagreement. When great question,
Yeah.
LinkedIn user. I hope I don't know your name, so I can't address you with it. But you are a college student, and I applaud you for thinking about how to create a personal brand that works for you. So the fact that you know how you want to be known should determine the impressions you leave behind. And creating a personal brand, it's is not about agonizing over what others are thinking about. If they get angry or whatever, that's not your problem. That's their problem. It is about becoming the person you want to become. So the focus is internal. However, in order to truly change and evolve as a human being, in my book, I teach you, especially actually in all chapters, I have a section called exercises. They start with introspection, they start with your current state, and then you chart a roadmap to your desired state. But in order for you to move from your current state to your desired state, this is a journey that requires reflection, learning, and celebration. So, what I recommend you do is you decide, you've already decided how you want to be known, right? And then you can ask for feedback from people who are your trusted advisors. You can ask them to call you out when you are not aligned, when your impressions are not aligned with your brand. And most importantly, set aside a weekly reflection time and look back at your week in how you showed up. What impressions did you leave behind? And if they were not aligned with your leadership brand, your brand that you want, then course correct. Don't beat yourself up. Be like Madonna. Be kind to yourself. Course correct. Learn from it. But more importantly, celebrate your successes. Look at when you did show up, where you were creating a relatable and enjoyable presence, but you were also being taken seriously, because this is a journey of learning. So celebrate those small successes, and that starts creating a success mindset that energizes you to do even better the following week. So just because you know what brand you want doesn't mean it automatically happens. It's a journey of becoming that person. It's a journey of looking back, course correcting, learning, being kind to yourself, celebrating your small wins. And then the more you do that, you become that person.
I love that. I love the last part, celebrating your small wins. Small wins are wins too. Let's celebrate them, right?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, so sorry, Shelmina, but we have. let me. We still have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me throw
Please
the other
go ahead.
question there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
What do you think about the likability paradox, where women have to find a balance about being seen as both likable and decisive? If
Yeah.
women are assertive, they are not liked. If they are collaborative, they are seen as too soft. How did you approach this, Shelmina?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Paulina, thank you for asking this question. I too, when I started my career, I wanted to be liked by everyone. Not my career. That was easy. When I started my career, it was easy. But it was when I became a salesperson and I had to say no to people. I had to say no to my lesser priorities. And this story is in the chapter of intentional attention. And so I was afraid that if I said no, people won't like me. People will think I'm not a team player. And so my boss, the reason why I want to pay forward is because I have been so fortunate in having leaders and mentors and sponsors who have taken an interest and given me feedback and taught me and made me who I am. And so my boss said, Shalmina, aspire to be respected, not to be liked. And so people may or may not like you, but when you are always doing the right thing, they will respect you. So this is not about the likability and decisive and soft and collaborative. No, this is about earning respect. And the way you earn respect is, first of all, you need to learn how to say no. Because these two words can alienate, break relationships, can become confrontational if you don't do it right. So I am teaching you, I am taking you in my book, I take you step by step by step on how to say no so you are kind and firm. And you are also open. So when you say no, you need to help the other person understand that I am working on these strategic priorities, which are creating maximum value and contributing towards the success of our organization. If you believe what you have is a higher priority, I am happy to listen to this. So you don't get your ego tied in with your decisions. You are actually open to listening and open to changing your decision with new information. That's how you earn respect. And that's how you deepen your relationship and you form a brand that you are focused on the company's strategic priorities. You are not focused on being liked.
Yeah.
You are focused on achieving what your company wants you to achieve. So there are all these myths about women. Oh, this, that. No, just aspire to be respected. Do the right thing, show your worth in every moment, and that's what you want.
I just took a deep breath because I mean, I think that's a lesson for me too. Because I feel like I'm also very kind, and sometimes I might come out as a people pleaser. I don't do that because I mean, when I say no, it means no. I mean, I don't want it. I will not do it. But I like what you said, and I think it resonated with me so much. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just gonna share a couple of thank yous that we got. I think we had over 100 and something people join us, which is amazing. Thank you all for coming today and celebrated International Women's Day with us. I can see through the live chat, the number of people joining, listening to us right
I
now.
love it.
So it's
I,
amazing.
I have an ask.
Yeah.
Today and this month is about inspiring inclusion. And every year we have a hashtag. Last year it was no more biases. We all took this picture, posted it on LinkedIn. Today, because of geopolitical and other situations, there are more biases in the workplace, in many workplaces, than there were before. So let's use this inspiring inclusion to step into the leadership pipeline. Everyone, you are all capable of being leaders. I am teaching you how to do this. So step into the leadership pipeline, and as you rise, take others with you. Gift my book to your mentees. Show them that they too have potential to be leaders. When we all step into the leadership pipeline and we bring others along with us, we will truly inspire inclusion and we will truly, truly change the equation of gender equality in leadership roles. So let's act.
That's ending on a high note, and I love that. Thank you so, so much, everyone, for joining us. I mean, it's unbelievable that we couldn't even get through all the questions. We got so many questions, Shelmina. So I'm so, so happy. I don't know if this means we need to have a part two because I don't mind having a part two with you because I'm also learning in the process and I'm really appreciating your time. So thank you again so, so much for your time. Thank you very much, listeners. Please connect with Shelmina. Check her book out. I think we will link it on the session video on the comment section. And follow us and stay connected with us. And
Yeah.
that's it.
I
So,
also, by the way,
uh,
if you purchase a book before tomorrow to honor yourself for IWD, register on my website and I am picking 10 people to provide one on one individual mentorship. So
see,
that's, that should incent you.
thank you everyone that came
All
because
right.
now you got some tip.
All right.
Is this
Thank you,
recorded?
Madonna.
I see a
You are a
question
rock
there.
star. I
Yes,
enjoyed this conversation very much.
me too, me too. And that someone is asking if this is recorded. Yes, it's going to be recorded. You'll watch it on the live. So it's not going anywhere. And I think I'll upload it too on the Tech Talks with Madonna podcast too, because I think this is such amazing content, Shelmina. Thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream now. Let's say bye, Shelmina, to
Happy
all this.
International Women's Day,
Women's
everyone.
Day.
Thank you for being with us on this very important day. Bye bye.
Yeah.